Some were overpowered by greed, and so they pilfered slow. Some took by bulk and go. Now she looked dull, she's at a lull. She could barely sit on her hull. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Trinidad, in her day of sailing, she was a friend to one and all. She never once ever hesitated to answer all SOS calls. And yes, well, she always did her best to help all those in distress. Now it's so sad to see she's in difficulties. Though she helped cheer, some of them cheer and sarcastically declare, Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. We gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we sit on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. If only there was something I could have done to restore the credibility of this beautiful vessel. Money's no problem. Now there's a lot of fingers pointing, suspicion running strong. Who's to be blamed for all her failures? Who's to be blamed for doing her wrong? Now please remember, I'm warning you, for to the air she had the same crew who hold the key fault. So we know who's up to you. It's up to me to make her worthy to go back to sea. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me, oh yo yo. We don't know, we don't know. You tell me, oh. From the Trinidad, location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Help! Help! The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea, with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, it's smooth and free, but sadly Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a fall. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? Trinidad, oh she was a beauty, with wealth that few surpassed. And in her day she And so they pilfered slow. Some took bite, bulk and go. Now she looked dull, she's at a lull. She could barely sit on her hull. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, these are rough, oh yes. We gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. And ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Trinidad, in her day of sailing, she was a friend to one and all, so escorts. And yes, well, she always did her best. Difficulties, though she helped cheer, some of them cheer, and sarcastically declare, Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we sit on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. If only there was something I could have done to restore the credibility of this beautiful vessel. Money's no problem. Now there's a lot of fingers pointing, suspicion running strong. Who's to be blamed for all her failures? Who's to be blamed for doing her wrong? Now please remember, I'm warning you. For 30 years she had the same crew who hold the keys to her fault. So we know who's at fault. Now it's up to you, it's up to me to make her worthy to go back to sea. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough, oh yes. We gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship, or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me, oh, yo, yo. We don't know, we don't know. You tell me, oh.
Protect the young ones by any means, Lord. Yeah, you know.
From the Trinidad, location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Help! Help! The Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, it's smooth and free, but sadly Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a fall. Captain, this ship is sinking.
Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. Yes, it is a pleasure and an honor to be back on stream. Of course, we will have difficulties. We will continue to have difficulties, but I can tell you this. The level of tenaciousness, the level of determination, the level of consummate and indivisible obligation to national development, national interests, and the small man in particular, cannot be questioned or doubted or in any way challenged as far as the commitment to what I will consider to be opportunity, particular time and over time, by of course human beings. As one physicist said at some time, if of course all of humankind was to disappear, then knowledge itself would also disappear. And of course he was using that scenario, that hypothetical situation, as far as a black hole is concerned. Those, what I consider to be phenomenon that scientists, physicists, etc., who of course have identified and recognized that consumes all in its part, but nothing can of course be regurgitated or vomited out, and therefore it's total darkness. And so education or knowledge itself would have disappeared in the universe, because we only can ascribe knowledge, education, and cerebral development to human beings so far, because we have not been able to get any other equivalent intelligent being, even though we have advanced our space and other activities to widen and broaden the knowledge that we currently have had and will of course into the future establish. That being as it may, I am playing of course Captain, the ship is sinking. Not that it has sunk, it is sinking clearly. And for Rowley and his minions, any port for a storm. The storm of what? Of disappointment. The storm of incompetence. The storm of ignorance. The storm of avarice. The storm of retrogression, the storm of doing evil, harm, and disregarding, of course, the sentiments of the... We now have, of course, the dystopia that has enveloped and engulfed the Trinidad and the Tobago. A pleasant good night. Yes, I too miss to you, as I'm sure so many of you would have expressed in your various comments, both online and offline. I accept. But you will understand that what I consider to be the serious plunge into, of course, the future by owning our own building on George Street, of all places, yes, and to, of course, getting it ready for occasions like this. You must agree, based on, of course, limited resources, but a lot of human, should I say, intent and offerings to assist, but out of conscience. You cannot do like the others and have people work and not give them something. So I prefer to stall, to be gingerly in terms of my advancement, conscientious that people must eat, they must drink, they must acquire or they desire the basics of life, food, shelter, and clothing. And therefore that in our present system requires money. And so I will not ask any one of those young people in particular, if we are to set the example, lest they accuse us of being like Rowley and the PNM, exploitative, but exploitative with our own money, mismanage and criminally distribute among themselves by poor policies, programs as a consequence. And so Trinidad and Tobago is nearing a failed state scenario. That being as it may, have a wonderful rest of the night. Not the rest of the night, I should say. Well, the rest of the night with me. And after that, of course, you'll have the rest of the night by yourself. But to, of course, what I consider to be reminisce on what we would have done tonight. That being as it may, it is a pleasure to be with all of you. Welcome to the Corridor Transformation. Your host, Lennox Smith.
The Trinidad, in her day of sailing, she was a friend to one and all. She never once ever hesitated to answer all SOS calls. And yes, well, she always did her best to help out those in distress. Now it's so sad to see she's in difficulties. Though she helped cheer, some of them cheer and sarcastically declare, Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. We gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we sit on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. If only there was something that's pointing, suspicion running strong. Who's to be blamed?
I want to invoke the doctor and then write him a letter. I want to ask him a question, if he knew what was going on. The other day I was passing, I hear people complaining. He is the man with the answer, but he quite over yonder. They say, snake in the Palisade. Snake in the Palisade.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Snake in the Palisade. And they biting hard Trinidad. In the country, man, they worse than Mappy feet. When they making the racket, they just dress up in nice jacket. Some big fat mackerel, drink out the oil in the oil well.
But here's what Keith Rowley had to say in
Yes,
Parliament
indeed,
about
course,
the same
President
property
Good
tax
night to
back
all
in
and sundry.
2009. As reported in the
Once again,
Hansard
of
of
course,
Parliament,
it is the
Keith
Corridor
Rowley said,
Transformation. Yes,
in my own
that you would have gotten
constituency,
rid of me,
there is anger,
or that I would have
anxiety,
gotten rid of
and
myself
resentment
at all.
spectrum. They have brought
We
the
are
tax
here,
at the
of course,
worst
as
possible time, alluding to
what I
tough
consider
economic
to be
times. Rowley also rejected the idea that property tax
elements
would help communities.
or co-
Instead, it would bring further hardship.
partners
He
in,
said,
of course,
I know a
a
lot
very
of people for
sacred
whom $100 is a
adventure,
lot
and that
of
is to
money.
save
A
Trinidad
lot are
and
struggling to
Tobago.
make ends meet.
Of
Live
commitment,
from the
dedication,
Hyatt Regency Hotel.
and
The People's
the tenacity that is
But
required.
here's what
After all, we have declared, of course, 2024 as a long, long, hot 12 months for the PNM and Dr. Rowley, the existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, the present challenges and the present issues, that of the expanding once again of the borrowing limits for Trinidad and Tobago, and we must do it in perspective. We must put it in context. You see, Rowley and they are so habitually deceptive and pretend, or should I say pretend, but absolutely cunning, but for negative reasons, not positive ones. There is always something sinister. There is always something lurking behind the scenes of what they're doing for their personal aggrandizement and political power mongering. And so I want to tell you that before Dr. Rowley came into office in 2015 as the questionable prime minister that he is, he did, of course, and Smith in the thought that they were sincere. And I have no qualms if now you realize that you were being taken for a ride. I have no qualms if you say that Lennox, you and the ground report and others were correct. I have no qualms. We are not going to, of course, hold you in perpetuity guilty. So it is understandable that over time, as a human being, one will have to revise, one will have to do introspection, and one will have, of course, to arrive at a different conclusion in and when, of course, the situation merits, because the premise on which your original conclusion was based was in itself a deception, an illusion, as Rowley and they would have projected back in 2015. And so they told us it was accepted that no way Trinidad and Tobago could have been running on fumes, because fumes means that any indication of liquid fuel would have been consumed, and therefore the vapor, the gaseous form of that fuel will now be, and therefore to use that terminology or to concoct that in the context of Trinidad and Tobago and where it was under the Kamala Persad-Bissessar PP administration back in 2015, it has to be and must be, and of course, analytically, one has to conclude that it was a deliberate deception on the part of Rowley and Imbert, who had no qualms in making those phantasmagorical accusations and conclusions so as to deceive the vulnerable, particularly those sycophants and those apologists for the PNM. You notice now that those apologists and they are now decrying and saying, do not call me an apologist again. Do not say that I am a PNM till I dead. That's what they're saying. And don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Because, of course, Selwyn Kojo would have been, of course, the latest. But you also have others. You have others that have naturally been identified, characterized as part of the 1%, whether it be the former very significant player in the advancement and development and the making, of course, Republic Bank, the premier financial institutions, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but in CARICOM, saying and the particular issue at one point in time, and of course regurgitation, and with the appropriate adjustments, you will now be able to be on even keel and therefore have a greater command or a command of the material that is before you that was given trouble or was given a challenge prior. That is what we are talking about. And therefore, Ronald Harvard, a man that, of course, I met for the first time while I was, of course, a director of SBDC, the Small Business Development Company, under the Pandey administration. Yes. I got the opportunity, of course, to say so, so I should. And therefore, of course, to demonstrate the versatility of the personality and character called Lennox Smith. And it was the first time as well I met Robert Amaro, who was appointed then the chairman of SBDC, and he embraced me, and I want to say would have been given, of course, a special treatment, even though, of course, my appointment who should be no less or ought to have been no less or more than the other, I think, some 7 other members of the board of the SBDC. But I want to go further before I address the question of the incompetence and the realization of so-called persons who were either apologists, sycophants, rank and file, or part of the abandoning the PNM. And as I said, largely because of its incompetence and impotence. Incidentally, let me pause to say that the lines are up and running, 337-6940. Yes, you can get me at any time. Let me make sure, because I don't want to boast tonight and then, of course, fall flat as an anticlimax. So let me make certain that the line is up and that you can, of course, and tonight, of course, what I will do, I will invite you to call immediately. I will invite you to call immediately because of the lengthy, even though short, so it's an oxymoron, but lengthy period where we were absent in terms of communication. So you can call now if you so desire. Of course, from next week, we will look at starting calls from around 9:15 to about 9:30. But that being as it may, let me continue in that vein. So, Harford and others have now abandoned by their utterances in recent times the conduct of the PNM and recognizing what we have been saying all the time, that is a bunch of incompetent, opportunistic, political parasites and no doubt criminals. Criminals, which of course, as we predicted in the last year or penultimate year of leading up to the elections, there will be mass abandonment of the PNM policy, membership, etc., etc. And only those who, of course, are still prepared to suckle for 30, not subtly, suckle 30 pieces of silver from our treasury, Rowley pretending that he has the key to unlock the vault of our national treasury and distribute it as he wish, the contents I'm talking about, but against the general good and the advancement of Trinidad and Tobago. Let us not waste time. And therefore, so we have that. We have, of course, Ralph Maraj, and we have, as I said, Kojo, who said in no uncertain terms, Rowley, that he prefers to be on the right side that Kamala Persad-Bissessar has, of course, embraced and has extended on the UNC, rather than being on the wrong side, which, of course, is the Rowley administration and his minions, who, of course, are suckling for 30 pieces of silver. And because of this, these Judases, we are reeling from council of the PNM, talked about, again, another deflection, another deception, another attempt, of course, to capture the narrative. But we are not going to be lured. We are not going to be fooled. We are not going to be deceived, because we know what that is all about. So they are now talking about what? Party and constituency executive elections. Hollow your tail. Who cares? What we want is national elections. What we want is the opportunity, as the Privy Council would have told us, when Rowley tried to subvert and undermine the electoral process leading up to or just before the local government elections that was supposed to at least taking place by December of 20. He went to the parliament with his tenuous or slim, extremely slim majority. And I'm sure the Privy Council would have looked at that, even though that was not part of the substantive matter before them. But certainly, you don't have a mandate. Here you and goes to the parliament and say postpone the elections. And if we had depended on that, the elections would have been held sometime this month, because he wanted to postpone it for a whole year. But thank God for a very alert, a sagacious, eruditic, and meticulous opposition led by Kamala Persad-Bissessar, a stateswoman extraordinaire. We were able to get the right and to sustain the right and to retrieve the right to elect our representatives in the context of the local government elections, which again, while I personally felt that as far as regional corporations are concerned, the UNC ought to have gotten and its partner more than boroughs and or towns that is part and parcel of our local government establishment or system. I feel very compensated, while not in totality, that 70,000 persons more, 60 to 70,000 persons more, voted for the UNC and its counterpart NTA than that of the PNM, and that is another symbol, another sign that, of course, suggesting the decline, the reduction, the erosion of the PNM's dominance as a political entity in this country. So I have no difficulty there. So once again, the lines are open. You can call now, 337-6940. Those of you who wish to call now, you can do so. Yes, indeed. I see. I'm hearing a call. Let's see how it works. Yes, indeed. Yes. Let's go one time. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Right. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Wow. I heard that just now, people. So call again. We will succeed at last. Try, you'll succeed. But I did get the call. So caller, call again, please. And we will, of course, entertain you at this point in time, acknowledge your calls. So I want to, of course, not just lay that foundation for you and to show how despicable and how the PNM is now being abandoned. And of course, we saw the most, what I consider to be amazing act of the PNM in desperation, as they are at the present time as well, but more desperate now, when they were poaching, when they were soliciting, when they were begging former and possibly current UNC members to join them. What does that tell you? It tells you clearly that the so propaganda machinery. Let me repeat. The fact that the PNM was poaching and soliciting and begging UNC, non-UNC activists and operators to come on the PNM side, it tells you that the propaganda machinery is well and alive within the PNM. I'll explain later. Let's go straight into the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Let me just make sure that okay, good. Let me just see. Yes, good night to you. Good night to you.
What is all of that noise?
Just okay, right. Let me just lower this. All right.
Lennox, are you hearing me?
Loud and clear, loud and clear. Yes, loud and clear, loud and clear. Are you hearing me?
But there's a lot of noise. No, I'm not hearing it clear. There's a lot of noise on the line.
I wonder
but welcome back, Lennox.
Okay, good. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
All right, are you hearing me better now?
Yes, much better, much better.
Yes,
much better.
Lennox, welcome back.
Yes.
Lennox, you were missed.
Yeah.
Lennox not sounding good.
Wonder what's happening here.
Lennox, I am not hearing you properly at all.
I am hearing you.
Don't tell me after we waited so long. This does not fix us yet.
I am hearing you. I am hearing you.
You are hearing me clearly?
Yes. I am hearing you. Go ahead, talk.
All right. Okay. Let me tell you. Let me just talk.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let me just talk. Lennox, welcome back. Lennox, you have to stop burning your candle at both ends. Because you are only one person and you are only human.
Yeah.
You need to take, excuse me, you need to take more. No, and the UNC members of Parliament, they were fantastic in their contribution towards the property tax. Kamala and them supporting it. They made it very clear that they're not supporting the bill.
Good.
I sent you a copy of Mrs. Percivere's contribution on Friday, where she made it very clear as well that she's not supporting that to take the debt ceiling up.
Good.
She's not supporting it. So when people want to come run them out, that Kamala and them siding with the government, they should try and understand what's going on. Lennox, this is ridiculous. What are these people taking this money for? Imagine, Lennox, 15 billion in 2015, 2021, and now they come back for 10 billion again. Lennox, not 10 million, Lennox, but 10 billion. And then Marky Thunder, boom, whatever his name is, coming to tell me to give Rowley a chance to let Rowley fix the country because Kamala causing all the crime. The shame. Lennox, let me tell you something, You know what is making things worse in this country? You see some of these UNC supporters who crawled out of the PNM and into the UNC and want to come to run the PNM for them, run the UNC for them. You see these barrel crabs? Lennox, if they had love in their heart for the people of this country, you're circulating will can't tackle our things. He made it on the Mahasajagwati station. Now, there were so many Mrs. Prasad in Parliament, but he took out the one. He acted like a real PNM idea. He took out the one with Mrs. Prasad talking in Parliament. Barry sitting next to her, telling them to clap the desk. And questioning, is that what we put them in there for? What is wrong in Barry telling them to clap the desk? What is wrong in that? Why did he do the one with her today? Oh, yes, Friday. No, but they didn't take that one. Is he mischief in them? Is she mischief? But you know who shocked me, Lennox?
Go ahead.
Victor Roberts. Victor Roberts shocked me. I never thought that he would have turned against Mrs. Prasad, Bisesa. Because you see, he fall in the elite. But I want to tell him, just as how the Mayaro crabbers run on the beach, end up in Sunday lunch, he better be careful. He don't end up in Sunday lunch too. Imagine the facts of fiction page, I will call it. The country is looking on at Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Must recognize that how you run your party will determine how you run your country. We must work together to ensure effective governance in the UNC. Internal elections are constitutionally due in June 2020. All you're talking about working together for the benefit of the country, that's what all you're doing. Undermining her. Lennox, I am not going to support anybody that's undermining Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. Because I lived it. The kind of work that Kamala did in this country. We all saw it, Lennox. We all benefited from it. If it wasn't for that lady, pensioners and them would never have got decent pension. Children with disabilities. Imagine she did so much work for the children with cerebral palsy. And that they destroyed everything. Lennox, they have done nothing. You want to tell me after 9, you big teenager, and telling me about this teenager having teething problem? Lennox, I don't know what more they want from the people from this lady. But I will tell them one thing. You see, all here who out to destroy Kamala are talking about good governance. All the thorns all you're laying out there, remember, all you and all the generation will have to work on it. Because I am telling you here tonight, Lennox, the tears of the people will fall on them if they allow the PNM to get back into office. If they allow them to get back into office. Because they will further destroy this country. They will destroy the people. As Barry Padaros rightly said today, you want 2% now. Who is to say if all they get back into office, God forbid all they get back into office, all they're going to raise it to 5 and 9%. And it's a fact. It's a fact. You want to tell me, Lennox, look at how Rowley not seeing the hardship. You come and you want to put property tax down. You can even drop the VAT on certain food items like what Mrs. Prasad Bisesa did. And then they want to talk about good governance. Then that clique, that PNM clique, want to talk about good governance. Lennox, it was under the UNC that they had the Joint Select Committee. And broadcasting of Parliament. I brought in that one. To give the MPs and then the opposition a chance to question her. I remember Rowley saying he well committed to keep the Prime Minister on her toes. But when she reached there, he was cussing everybody to answer them. They brought in the Freedom of Information Act, the Integrity Commission, the Judicial Review, the Standing Finance Committee. All these things that they brought, and all they want to say, UNC did nothing. They started the diversification of the economy. And Lennox, I wish that you would go to the Pillar of Progress. Because you are in a better position to do it than us. Go to the Pillars of Progress in UNC and show the people all what the partnership under Mrs. Prasad Bisesa's leadership did for this country. Because you know what, Lennox? Campaigning has started. Campaigning has started. And I am going to do my part to bring as much as I could information to let the people Mrs. Prasad Bisesa did and what she's quite capable of doing. I remembered in 2015, she talked about the blue The green and the silver economy. Rotten gut lunatic laughed at her. He said the only blue economy she knows is vodka. At least she was, what you doing? And when Mia Motley came into power, Mia Motley spoke of the same thing. She and other Caribbean leaders who look like a fool. Who look like a fool then? Rowley have no idea. The only idea he have is to thief out everything. As you rightly said this morning, Evan Ramner, right, told us exactly how much money is left in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund.
In the reserves, frankly.
Where did the money go? Thanks a lot for listening to me, and welcome back, but you also need your rest. Take care.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. A wonderful, of course, opening salvo for any, to use a cricketing term, for any captain, for victory is assured. Because she was comprehensive, and as I have often said, there are none as blind as he or she who refuses to see, particularly when they in fact has 20/20 vision. But there's also a saying, the old people have it, that when you're in good house, bad houses call you. You see, because all of those skeptics of today was to questioning the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisesa. I want them to know something. But let's go straight to the line. Let's go straight to the line. Let's go straight to the line. A pleasant good night. Well, yes, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm hearing you.
Like you was on holiday?
Yes. Slightly. You can say so.
Yeah, I think you was on holidays, boy.
Yeah, a working holiday. A working holiday to work hard. Yeah.
These people that get to all right. Lennox,
Yes.
people who get killed on Saturday in broad daylight, right? I mean, you get shoot up, murdered, broad daylight, you know, in Trinidad.
Yes.
Trinidad, Port of Spain. And these fellas jump in a car and drive off just like if they're going by the beach. Them gone, disappear, boy. You tell me what the security services of this country doing. If they can kill 5 people at random, right? Why, what's stopping them from killing parliamentarian like that? And driving off. Because these fellas abandon the vehicle up in Belmont and they disappear. And not a crew up to now, you know. But I guess the people in the ground know who do it. Because it seems to be that them went in the night and do some shooting up on a different part of Trinidad where these gangsters be. So the police don't have a clue to do nothing here. Yeah, they're leaving people to get killed. One of their own there and all. And is everybody for themselves? I don't understand what's going on in this place where they have these sleepy people and them, like Stuart Young and Fitzgerald Hines and them. Stuart Young, he is Mr. High and Mighty. He wouldn't go to the community who voted him in and offer up some condolences to the people or anything like that. Nothing. I'm sure he himself said a representative that deal with the people and them to find out if they need any help with regards to trauma and things that they went through that is medicine. These fellas, when they get into office, they was all about themselves. The only thing he couldn't do it is recusing himself. Right? And making the money. But for them people, they were just a vote bank. And PNN people are safe for days, but they're too blind. They're too blind. Whatever Rowley get into to drink and eat, I will see it now. Right? And everything else in this country falling apart. And everything to blame for is the UNC. And I know the Prime Minister say, once the government cannot deal with the issues here, they should get out of office. And that is what he should be doing. Because crime run away and he don't see it as a problem. Because it's not affecting him. But I tell you, one day to come, it will reach the garden, you know. You leave it like keep on dragging on like that. Innocent blood crying out for justice in this country, you know. Gain it. But God go deal with he and all of them PNM who blind, deaf and dumb. I hear this lady, since she gone of this, your partner Julia Devi. I have something to tell she. Ruchi Suka is the man going up there. If she feels she going anyway to represent those people in the area, she have it wrong. She might go there to carry water for Ruchi, but she ain't getting no part of no PNM what's I say, opportunity to go inside of that area to for anybody to vote for she. She damn wrong. How about the
Well, of course, I like that how you concluded your presentation, but I want to say whether it's a female, whether it's Juliet, whether it's Sukai, or whether it's Sokai, I want to tell all of them is Sokai for the UNC. It's the UNC all the way. So they could rant, they could wave, they could try, of course, to haggle over that particular Shogunas East constituency. It remains solidly in the domain and in the hands of the UNC. Of course, before any elections, anybody could win because that is a figment of people's imagination until the votes are counted physically and no doubt in anybody's mind, even in those persons who are talking about weighing their chances to contest, they know that that belongs to the UNC. But of course, it's an exercise in futility. Let's go straight, of course, to the line. Once again, good night to you.
Yes, I'm now reaching. And I try to see if I could get on the program.
Right. Well,
what I have to say tonight, Mr. Lennox, right?
Yes.
Now, the claim say, you hearing me right?
Yes, loud and clear.
Right. The government claims say that the fighting not to go to the fighting not to go to the IMF, right?
Yes.
But they turning soil to build a new social development direction.
No, you're right.
But you're turning soil to do mega contracts. Mr. Lennox?
Yes. I'm hearing you loud and clear. You go ahead.
Mr. Lennox?
Yes, go ahead. Speak. Go ahead.
Yes, you're turning soil to build some new social development building. When we have a land in town that is empty, that you can house the social development people in those buildings that the former Prime Minister, may his soul rest in peace, build, and half of it empty. Why you don't house the people there? We're running to build buildings for, and you're saying we have no money. Where the money coming from if you have no money to do this and to do that, and you say property tax or health free and all these different things? Where are you getting the money to do these big buildings? And then you're going in the parliament now to ask for $10 billion for the children to pay. But after, when the dust settles and them blowing away and say, boy, we catch them, we spend real money and have a ball and we leave them in debt. Like, it's only we go pay. And people still walking around and saying they PNM till they're dead. Well, I hope they see they're dying, because most of the crime that all I have to say for tonight, Mr. Lennox, have a blessed one.
Thank you very much. And I want to tell you once again, go to the top of the class. Wonderful analysis as far as the PNM and the, should I say, reluctance, their recalcitrance, their trepidation, excuse me, to, of course, treat with the matter as they ought to at this time in particular. However, of course, for Kamala Prasad, Mr. Sen, the UNC, and of course, Pandey in their stint at the wheels, obviously that period was too short for that psychological and social capital investment that is required to stabilize and to tranquilize and to, of course, ensure on a sustained basis that these communities move from strength to strength. So I accept that as a fact. But the reality is that the PNM see, of course, these constituencies, particularly along the East-West corridor, as voting banks. And therefore, their investment is there to stay in office in order to do us generally and their constituents evil and under a criminal enterprise. But there are several things that was mentioned in the three calls that we have gotten so far, all of which are very significant and contemporary. If I can extrapolate as much as I can with the remaining time that we have, and of course, notwithstanding that, I implore that you call in. I have not any limits as to when to begin calls tonight because we have a lot to catch up. But let me start, of course, with the previous caller talking about the crime. And it is said that a person who does the same thing over and over and expect a different result, they're either mad, they're stupid, or let me be a little more forceful, they are asses. And it is also said that those who do not learn from their mistakes or their past are doomed to repeat it. It is own. Let's go to the lines. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
They say everything good with the country, right? And they're not going to the IMF. But you going on the local market to borrow $10 billion because you say that so much money in the banks and nobody doing nothing with it. And what it is he going to do with the $10 billion? I want to know the question is they're going to do with that. Because it seems to be all of this is part and parcel of our election gimmick. And they're going to take dollar money, put this country in serious debt, and roll out a crash program all over the place, pay off people to build buildings that they don't need, and squander it left, right, and center. And in the end, if they ain't come back in office, whoever it is get into office have a burden of $10 billion extra to pay back the public sector with the borrowing fund, right? And then they write in his statement by saying that she's not supporting this. This is squander media to the highest level. And in the end, it's your grandchildren is going to be the one have to pay that back, not Rowley, not Imbert, not Stuart Young, nobody like that. Because them could jump on a plane and go Miami, they go Canada, they could go England. And your kids will suffer right here in the Lennox.
Thank you very much. And I want quickly to direct your minds to the built-in contradictions of that statement. Back in this country, I'm talking about the highway to Point 14. $7 billion, the largest infrastructural project undertaken, attempted by any government. Of course, we know now that it was nestled and it was attempted as well by the previous Manning administration. We don't know what all of the, should I say, nuances or all of the elements or all of the variables would have been inclusive, of course, whether they would borrow or not. But what we know for sure is that when the UNC took on the project, they said they're not borrowing, and that is significant. That is significant. They are not pay out of the consolidated fund. In other words, as they collect taxes, they will pay the contractor or the OS contractor, and of course, it in turn paying, of course, the subcontractors which are locally oriented. But there is a significant purpose, objective of taking it in that way. Remember all that time Rowley was saying, well, borrow, 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 and the UNC said no. And why? They said that they will do it alone because they were able to keep the debt to GDP ratio lower. That's one. To add $7 billion, it means therefore your debt to GDP ratio would have increased. Rowley was saying borrow. I want to show you a difference in policies and program and commitment to nationalism and, of course, patriotism and the well-being of our society, both in terms of long-term outlook and objectives. So they said we are going to take it out of the consolidated. As we get taxes, we are going to pay. Rowley was saying then to borrow. They say no. So by the time 2015 came, in other words, by that methodology that adopted by the UNC, there was a debt to GDP ratio of just 44%. I say just in the context of what it is today, because today it is double that. It is vacillating around 90%, and at one time it would have been closer to 100%. And they are simply reckless, they are brutal, they are evil, and it's always all that money that passed through their hands. It was like several doses of Senean salts. It's like castor oil when you are young, and of course mom and dad give you that, and it passes through. Well, these fellas, Rowley and his minions, are like the contents of the large intestine. Only waste, defecated material. That is what they are. Defecated material. The contents of the large intestine, because of course the small intestine will of course be responsible for providing and therefore nutrients to the body. But by the time it reaches the large intestine, it will be, of course, material that the body will not use. And therefore, that is Rowley and the refused material, defecated material. Nasty inside and outside. But let me don't go too nasty at this point in time. Let me just get down to the facts. That here it is. The UNC decided to fund it on their own. But fast forward to today, Rowley and they are claiming, on the one hand, listen to this carefully, when you hear Imbert, you swear that they are either bipolar, their schizophrenic nature knows no limit. Not only are they bipolar, but it appears that is a bunch of Jekyll and Hyde individuals in this government. How the hell of public utilities told us water for all and we getting there? But today, they're telling you don't use us. And it appears that they never considered that dry season will come. So they tell you water for all, and they give you this about some kind of technology that they will be using in order, of course, to make sure that everybody get adequate, of course, pipe-borne supply. They can't even provide a truck-borne supply. They're telling us no. Brace for drought, literally. Well, it's the same thing with Imbert. Imbert told us that everything was honky-dory, and he, of course, quoted from the IMF documents saying that, suggesting that it was prudent management. Well, if it was prudent management, and you did so well, how come you're looking to increase borrowing by $10 billion today? How come? And so soon. And so soon, the year just began. You just had a 2024 budget. How? What's the rationale? How do you reconcile that? On the one hand, you are saying that you did so well, and the economy, of course, is booming. Of course, that was shut down by a very, what I consider to be academic, but yet still practical evaluation of the situation of finance in the Kamala Prasad-Bissessar to be administration after the 2025 elections. I talk about Dave Tanku. Because he was quoting from documents that I consider to be very valid, very relevant, and very, what I consider to be essential to any analysis of any country within Latin America and the Caribbean. I'm talking about a document produced by ECLAC, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. Let me repeat. The ECLAC is the acronym for the suggests what its focus is, the economic welfare, development, drawbacks, advancement, relevant standard or non-standard within the Caribbean and Latin America of equality of life and standard of living, preferably in an advancing stage based on GDP progress. Well, he made an ass of Imbert after telling us that said that we had an acknowledged unemployment situation of 3%. And don't talk about the credit ratings and so on, which he tried to hoodwink us by telling us was a B. And it turned out to be a non-investment grade, even though Rowley and Imbert was trying to tell us it's an investment grade. Whilst, of course, when you compare 2015 with a B, AA2 under Kamala Persad-Bissessar, when they left office, it would have been, according to their categorization of these various grades for countries, that would have been an investment grade, as opposed to what Imbert is attempting to try to hoodwink us into believing that what it is not. That which is it, it is not. That which is, it is not. Something similar to now, he is talking about property tax being similar to land and building taxes. And we have always had that taxes. And he referred, of course, to land and building taxes before its suspension under the Kamala Persad-Bissessar administration when it came into office in 2010. They can't fool us. You know the evil. You know the scams. And watch how easy Tanku was able, of course, to tell any notion, particularly in the area of unemployment, as he, Imbert, had attempted, of course, to hoodwink us. He simply said that in 2015, according to ECLAC, that you can, of course, certify, verify, and know that the veracity of which cannot be questioned because they are meticulous and very, very complete and elaborate in terms of their analysis and their data collection for every single Latin American and Caribbean country. There is an unemployment level of 3%. Guess what? Guess what? Broke and dismissed and dispelled that nonsensicality, because we had said all the time that we can't feel it. Every 2 persons you meet, they are unemployed. And then we also said that because these kinds of data collection and gathering does not include persons who are no longer looking for work. And I've always said that it is clear that individuals in this country stop looking for work because there's simply none. And so you get a skewed result. He said that ECLAC said that in 2015, when Kamala Persad-Bissessar demitted office, over 600,000 persons were employed. Let me repeat, over 600,000 persons were employed. We have an average, of course, employment of just about 600,000. But presently, it is now 500,000. The logic is that Imbert is saying that 500,000 is more than 600,000. But we'll get back to that. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night.
Brother Lennox, good night again, man.
Loud and clear, loud and clear. Yes, thumbs up. Loud. Yes.
As we are talking about unemployment.
Yes.
So why
yes.
the youth men and them now deciding to join gangs and extort businessmen?
Like yes, yes, go ahead. You must have continued. I've not heard anything besides a gang. Go ahead.
I said, why the youth men and them studying to join gangs and extort businessmen instead of going and look for a little grocery like when I would finish school or in August something, I would look for a little grocery work, a little hardware work or some kind of thing. Why they studying to join gangs and extort businessmen? You understand?
Yes.
Thank God the youth men and them help you clean up your street whatever because they're trying their best.
Yes.
Because they don't want to go down that road. Don't take not much because let me tell you some Lennox. I started working grocery, I work hardware, I clean toilet, I do all kind of thing until I end up offshore doing studies and all kind of thing and meeting money and all kind of thing, A little fella like me, You understand?
Yeah.
So once you do right, but with this government, they're dragging them, you turn them down to the ground because I will tell you some, I'm not very Spanish, but when the companies and them hiring most of the Spanish, what is for the youth men and them who go do a little? So you're talking because them Spanish and them pay no NIS.
No. That's a blight for them.
Because they're both talking about the NIS contributions not big enough again.
Yeah. That's a blight for them.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I missed you a little just now. Well, go ahead.
Oh, yes, internet. Well.
Yeah. Let's say what we will.
Well, that's about me, because the internet bad. So let me hear with the economy. Right?
All right. Okay. All right. Yes. Yeah. Well. That is what is considered to be a nuance that is yet to be fully taken on board in terms of the analysis. And Imbert and they, whilst claiming that the contributions are less now, it reinforces what Tanku has been saying. If in 2015, the number of persons employed was 600,000, and today it is 500, how could you say that you have almost full employment when in fact you have less people working today? Let me take this one on the cuff here. Let me take this one on my phone. I'll take it on my phone. This one, I think, a pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Yes, good night.
Tunapuna here.
How are you going?
I'm talking to you, but I hear you carry on another conversation. Anyhow.
Go ahead. You might have a delay on your system, so go ahead.
Well, Lennox only really have to rectify this problem for you. Just breaking up on this thing, you could add here the comments of.
Yeah, we will get there. We'll get there eventually.
Right.
We put in mechanisms in place for that.
Start with the ball rolling.
Yes.
Now, I want to dispel this rumor with Santa Cruz and them talking about it. Me in particular. When I said that the UNC supported the bill for the government to borrow thing, what I said was, when the motion was posed by the speaker, the opposition didn't say no. You understand? And this is what
you did say that, and I observed that, and that was the debate. and the position was made clear. That is what she cleared up. So she added to what you were saying as to why it is that you didn't hear them say no, or there wasn't a division, because they made it clear during the course of the debate that they was not in favor. So therefore they remained silent, and it's only the government side say yes had it because they had the majority anyway.
But regardless of the voice.
I hear you. Well, that's a different issue, yes.
Because you'll be forcing the government into a position to call early election. We're not supporting in any way at all. We want the public to hear that we're not in support of you borrowing money and for rent and whatnot and to repay. But Lennox, let me just draw your attention to something.
Go ahead.
What we have is a home invasion, not only by bandits, by the politicians.
Right.
Because in terms of the property tax, then we see that they could be using the police and to go to your home and raid and seize, your computers and all these kind of things under fictitious circumstances and whatnot.
Yeah.
And here it is, Lennox. I am reading here, brother, in front of me, Sunday Express, page 8. We are still the university choice in TNT. This is the Professor Rose Marie Bell Antoine, principal at the University of University.
Yes.
But you know what they say, Lennox? There is a decline of enrollment of students pursuing degree at the University of West Indies.
Wow.
This is what 8% they say decline. So Lennox, that you taking your money to send your children and them to school, to university to get a degree. And when they come out there, you spend your money looking for return, hoping that they will get a job and that, think of it and you'll get back revenue.
Yeah.
It's not happening, Lennox.
Yeah.
So parents have seen it fit to send their children abroad so they could get a degree and they could get a job abroad. So this is why the reason that, and you normally know, a lot of these students from the CARICOM region used to come to UV and whatnot, I think. And in addition to that, the gate problem that the government has reduced significantly, together with the crime and the rental of property and all this, the whole fiasco that parents have to undertake to send their children to university to get a degree. They know, they're now studying, well, look, it's a waste of blasted time, to do that. And then here it is. The Prime Minister, I don't know if you could recall, recently advising business people in Trinidad and Tobago to go and invest in Guyana. You remember that, Lennox?
Yes, this ass.
I tell you, when you hear no talking about people had unload of money here, the private sector and the 1% and all your business associate and your financiers and whatnot. Instead of you encourage them here to invest here, to build back the economy, to create and generate employment and revenue so that we could export and all this kind of thing. You telling people to go and invest in Guyana? I mean, let me be real. This country, there is absolutely no hope under this PNM government. And to add to the dotishness, I was watching the Parliament channel today with the debate with the property tax and whatnot. And it made me wild enough. If some of these dotish chamber of commerce, including some of these economists and whatnot, praising the government for reducing the when nothing is in place and you're not doing a proper evaluation to assessing people property and for taxing and whatnot, they're praising them and you have nothing in place for when people have their complaints to go to and whatnot and things like that. So it's a whole charade. This thing is really, it's unbelievable, boy. And I can't understand for me how come people in this country sitting down and alone. And look tonight, I watching the Parliament channel, in fact today. They are nominating one Suzette Martin to be a deputy police commissioner.
Yes, I saw that. Yes, she's head of the Standard Bureau. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The professional bureau standard.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it, when one considers that if someone is to get a promotion in this country, one would have heard about this person and the performance and whatnot. Mm-hmm. We have heard nothing about her performance, but yet still, when Dr. Munilal read out, I don't know if you watch it, but you should get onto it and watch Dr. Munilal's contribution about the amount of allegations against this woman.
Yeah, I think I saw one where she was a traffic violator. That one,
yeah,
yes.
knocked down a little child and whatnot. And so much other reports, adverse reports coming from so much other bodies, police officers, as regards to this woman's conduct. And, you know, as head of this organization. And general performances. And you, the government, is coming to propose these people. And you coming to put a next one. I mean, how you going to fight crime in this country, brother? Huh?
That would tell you frankly, my friend, all of that is merely to buttress, to fortify, to encircle the government, the cabinet of this country, including Rowley, encircle them with a fortified.
Among whose gang? Put it this way.
No, a fortified wagon. Them, they will not go against them, and at the same time they will be beholden to them.
Just like the Integrity Commission, nobody to investigate it. But let me just wrap up now.
Go ahead.
You know that before the horse?
Yes.
But if you put the cat before the horse could still push the cat, right? When normally the cat has go after the horse, so the horse could pull the cat.
Yes.
If you put the cat before the horse could still push the cat. If you put the cat on top of the horse could still push it. But if you put the horse on top of the cat, it have no movement. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. Well, I like the one where you put the cat before the horse because he only has his backside to expose. But go ahead.
But the point I'm making is that
no movement.
No movement.
No movement.
Because when you put the horse on top of the cat,
it's totally asinine.
nothing can move, you know. And this is what this government has been doing. And I am.
But that can last. I am very convinced that can last. Tobago is the classic example. Rowley could engage in all of the criminal behavior that he could muster. They are not on that.
Lennox, and you know this woman too, this Suzette Martin, was someone involved in the Prince Thomas kidnapping and brought it back to Trinidad.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right, okay, right. So there you go. A conspirators group of individuals attempting to capture government and to engage, of course, in not a palace coup, but in an auto coup.
And Lennox, what I want you to do, brother, if you could watch back the Parliament channel and just listen to the contribution of Dr. Rowley Government on the CV of this woman.
I certainly will.
And the general conduct.
We are in problem if it was left up to Rowley and them. But clearly they know that their asses are grasses and it's just a matter of time for them. But they will continue, as we saw the latest attempt to postpone the elections is to say that they have an internals, etc., trying to deflect attention and to pretend that they are not concerned. They are deeply concerned. It's jail for them. Jail.
It must be locked
jail. Blue lights and silver bracelets is inevitable. They are too.
The Financial Intelligence Unit, the Security Exchange Commission,
right.
and all of these people.
Yes. All right. Well, we have to go because against somebody on another line. All right. Yes. Okay then. Bye bye. Yes, indeed. Of course, that was Mr. Tonopuna there, and I thought I should engage him because he's usually well researched. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Good evening again, dear Lennox.
Yes, good night to you.
Good evening again.
Yes.
Good night. Lennox.
Yes.
All right. So they're bringing a replacement to replace Perla when she retires in the next 2 months. So they're bringing one person, Perla is a prayerful woman. So they're bringing the next nun to come and pray there too. And this one have more checkered history.
Yeah.
Listen, this PNM government have no integrity at all about them, and they don't care a hoot about crime at all in this country. As far as they're concerned, we can kill one another, and that is it for we. You understand? They don't care. You have a woman with all them checkered history there, and you want to force her away as if the first one before who is know how to deal with crime. This woman doesn't only talk about prayer. Only talk about prayer. She only did lineman until March. I mean May when she retires, and they put in her next woman who don't know anything. I should say who is better than what was there right now to go and run things again. This PNM really for real? Listen, if they can put Hines there, they can bring anything after Hines. They bring a donkey, a mule, anything else after that, because they don't have one there already. But as far as I'm concerned, Lennox, that is a slap in the face of the right-thinking people in this country. With a woman with so much checkered history, if they force she and be as the next new commissioner of police, because that was the thing she did for. When I go in May, she go take over when I work. Just a misfit. How are they?
Yes, indeed. Well, it's not just. This is just another addition. The president is can be characterized as such. The head of the SSA could be characterized as such. The entire Police Service Commission could be characterized as such. Elements of the DPP department could be characterized as such. The Elections and Boundaries Commission could be characterized as such. The promotion of mediocrity to protect criminal behavior. Let me repeat. The promotion in independent, national, ostensibly, constitutionally autonomous entities by select some kind of either connection or sympathy, or will do the nasty and dirty work of the PNM and therefore Rowley to the core. Engaging in a conspirators auto coup to stay in office to do us evil. I say to all of you and to the PNM and all of them, your days are numbered and you have a duty and responsibility to take the moral high ground and tell Rowley and they, as Tobago did, we are not only mortified, we are not only disappointed, we are not only disrespected, we are not only intellectually, perceivably emasculated, but the laugh is on them when the time comes, because don't call election. Do all of that and don't call election. Don't call election when the time comes. There is, of course, a tolerance above which no one in their right mind and patriotic have gone past that tolerance level of any conscientious Trinbagonian. It is as if Rowley came there to destroy whatever morsel of electability that the PNM can retain. And I talk about all of them as he recruits, of course, criminals after criminals to manage the affairs of the country in criminal typical fashion. It is called a mafia syndicate. Like-minded people thinking like-minded to rob the people of Trinidad and Tobago and to mismanage our affairs. It is now, of course, 11 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock, and I have, I think, for too long kept you waiting with respect, of course, to the video that is behind me. So I think I should start that And then, of course, we will make our so much topics, so much information, so much crucial material to, of course, one night alone will not be able to accommodate. But let's hear Rowley. As far as property taxes, to be seen as par for the course is not to be seen that it was something that was accepted by or has been accepted by all of us, or indeed by Rowley himself, having regard to his position in the past. And we must, of course, play that so that you understand how untrustworthy these people are and the level of criminality in public office that they represent and execute. Let's go straight. Let's go straight to that particular video.
But here's what Keith Rowley had to say in Parliament about the same property tax back in 2009. As reported in the Hansard of Parliament, Keith Rowley said, "In my own constituency, there is anger, anxiety, and resentment at both ends of the spectrum. They have brought the idea that property tax would help communities. Instead, it would bring further hardship." He said, "I know a lot of people for whom $100 is a lot of money. A lot of struggling constituents could not even get water in their taps. Any hike in such water rates under the property tax," Rowley said, "would now amount to provocation. If you try to defend the indefensible, you will create resentment and provoke people. And that is what we have at the moment," said Rowley back in 2009. But now, by implementing the property tax, Prime Minister Keith Rowley is defending the indefensible.
Live from the Hyatt Regency Hotel, the People's National...
Yes, indeed. There he is.
The government did a few years ago. They returned to London building taxes in phases. The first phase of bringing the tax back was to treat with commercial properties. The second phase was agricultural properties. And the third phase is the residential. So as I speak to you now, arrangements are already in place, put by this UNC administration, for London building taxes to come back into being after September 7th. That was done by Larry Hawaii when he became Minister of Finance. So for anybody telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the
All right, let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant good night again, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, go ahead.
They have to offer, because they didn't come in to serve the people, they came in to serve themselves. And this is why the country in the state it's in. They didn't come to serve the people, they came to serve themselves. And if anybody looking for anything better, this is the best they have to offer. They didn't come with a plan. And that's why the police force in the messaging, because hats off to the police force. They're working extremely hard, but we are not seeing the work because Erla Christopher not working with a plan. There has no plan. So they're overworking the policemen and them because it has no plan. We're not seeing no improvement because they have no plan. When Gary was there, we used to see the improvement because Gary Griffith had a plan. So the police getting overworked are feeling sorry for them because it has no plan. Like Christopher them guessing. So she come just as the person who appointed her. They didn't come with no plan. They came to serve themselves. And they're serving themselves, and this is the best they have to offer. You have a blessed one, Mr. Lennox.
Thank you very much. And I want to add that if they would only earlier and they would focus on the fake oil investigations, if they would focus on the Alwari children investigation, still outstanding, it's not a cold case. They have artificially made it one, but we know it's not cold. If they would focus on the Daryl Smith matter, if they will focus on the Camille Robinson Regis matter, if they will focus on the a whole question of the intervention by Rowley himself, as he confessed, as far as the short list for a commissioner of police and the interference with that process and caused the total resignation of an entire police service commission. If they would focus there, if they would focus on the Vincent Nelson matter, if they will focus, of course, on the Brent Thomas matter, they could salvage some dignity and some, of course, relevance. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Lennox.
Yes.
Lennox.
Yes, go ahead.
You know how things is working in this country. You know how things is working in this country.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. You listen to this carefully. There is judge thing the UNC do under a microscope. And the same thing the PNM do and worse, they the judges with a telescope. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
it's microscope for one party and telescope for the next one. That's why you see Erline touching none of them things. Them thing is way out of she range. It's a telescope she uses $100 property tax. But he was on the white couch. When people come there, they tell him how much money they have to pay for the property tax, and he tells them about, oh, the house is this and that and all kind of foolish. The idiot went up there and talked after that nonsense and saying that whole party will get voted out of office because of the property tax and the way it's been done, that how people didn't feel it right. And the next week, you see him both come and retract the whole thing and say that how he bringing down the figure from 3% to 2%. And when the previous regime was trying to implement the property tax, they was trying to do it from the business sector first and then work a formula intervene for the people to pay a lower end of the property tax. Not the PNM government, no. Them do the wrong side. Them going for the people first and leave all the big businesses outside. They collect all them, they can't whatever, tax free. Them ain't paying nothing. In fact, you don't even have an idea when them go be taxed. Because all you hear is about property tax for poor people and for residential. You ain't hear nothing coming out of them mouth. It looks like that will take place after the next election when it will go try to tax the businesses on them. But you see, the Prime Minister on record and saying it to that you're going to get even church land. I know the poor want to pay for that. Have a good day.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Well said. Well said, my friend. And you are so correct. And on the question of the from 3 to 2%, I want to tell you that in itself is an enigma, almost a misnomer, frankly, because they themselves cannot tell us how they arrive at the 3%, how they evaluated people's rental value of their property to arrive at the 3% after they deduct 10% of the rental annual value. And guess what? It has become more asinine, more obtuse, more stupid, more inane, more clearly demonstrating that the PNM administration is a collective of asinine specimen of inhumanity and a collective of dunderheads and nincompoops who must be not just maligned, but they must be lampooned and caricatured because they cannot tell us how they arrived, therefore, at 2% now and that reduction. That's the point I'm making. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. A pleasant good night.
Hey, Lennox, good night to you and everybody on the live. Pleasant good night.
Good night to you as well.
Yeah, loud and clear?
Yes, pleasant good night.
So, last night, you know, I would like to go out of the box, out in the deep, and see what going on outside Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
You remember when we used to talk about what taking place in Sri Lanka and if we in careful, it could happen to Trinidad? Well, right. give me a minute or two of your time. I just want you to listen to this. This is in Haiti. I want you to listen to this.
Yes, go ahead.
The RNDDH believe that the silence of the authorities is an indication that the armed gangs enjoy protection and blessing from those same authorities. It seems that the people running the Haitian state have decided to abandon their citizens to their fate, being caught in the crossfire between warring gangs.
Yes, you want to tell us?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Right, so basically what the video is saying that the government are Haiti fairly people. And it's the same thing what happening here. Because if it's anything, this video what I have here, I will send it to you and you can always share it on your next live or wherever. But there's a lot of things coming out of here. The gang right now running most of the cities and them right now. They're terrible. You can even see some of the footage right at these where people living. The people living in the bottom of the barrel, you know. There are nothing, you know. And then people in them stay comfortable with that because they have nowhere else to go, you know. But Lennox, look on and listening.
Yes, indeed. For one moment there, I thought I would hear something about barbecue. A committee of gangs to come up against any kind of external aggression or intervention in Haiti. That is to tell you how the degree to which they have been organized, having of course raided police stations and raided and burned them down, as well as of course entered into prisons and take out of course prisoners who would add to their cadre of what I consider to be anarchists in Haiti. I don't know what country. I see that is it Tanzania? I think Tanzania is attempting, of course, to marshal some kind of a force to enter Haiti. But I will only tell that president. Angel fear. Where good people, honest people, sincere people, well-intended people attempt to dare. Angels fear. So I wish them luck. Even the Americans, of course, has come into it and they say they will fund, but they're not sending any troops there because Haiti is simply a failed state and is governed by an anarchist group of individuals, total anarchy. And boy, oh boy, what we must concern ourselves with is to be glad that we are not part of that. But if we fail to address our own situation, because it is said that when your neighbor's house burning, you must wet yours. Rowley and they are setting up a mediocrity that intends to, of course, capture government and to engage in an auto coup, a government in place and utilizing our resources to stay in office. But thank God for Tobago. Thank God for the Privy Council and the local government elections just complete. Otherwise, Rowley would have been, as the cricket lovers will know, he will be with his tail up. But right now, he's sitting on a tender keg, and he don't know when it will implode or explode. And those who are caught entrapped in that mediocratic as well as criminal behavior and mafia syndicate led by this man, all your jail is certain, all your ass is grass and not green, not green, but dry. Your ass is grass, not green, but but stale. Yes, that is your portion ultimately. And there are bright enough people in the UNC administration to come can, of course, generate the kind of prosecutions, not persecutions, prosecutions to satisfy the social needs of the country by correcting those social and economic and psychological wrongs of the Rowley administration. I hear, let me just take this call then. Try to get it from the system, but it's not coming up, so let me get it here. Let me get it here and see if we can extrapolate something here. Professor, good night.
Good night, Lennox Smith here.
Hey, all right, okay, let me take you from this phone then. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Pleasant good night to you.
Yes, man, yes, man. Let Rowley don't think about that next 2 seats in Tobago, yeah?
Yes, indeed.
That gone, yeah?
Thank God for Tobago, man.
Tell Rowley don't think about that next 2 seats in Tobago. Under the Silver Fox, what? That gone. John, them could go home now. Let me tell you something. When God kicked Satan to earth and Satan meet Rowley, Satan asked God to go back up, you know. Thank you.
I say no more. I can empathize, and many of you will understand that Satan will evacuate hell to accommodate Rowley. That is how sinful this man is and how evil he is. His own people, he thief from people, a whole hospital demand delayed because he want to fix his own business at Landate. That is the man we're dealing with here, people. Abandoned Tobago in his first stint by mashing up the sea bridge and decimating the economy. And he wants to, with our money, buy 2 boats under questionable circumstance. And they must now, like a former president of Russia, Stalin, when they give them little trinkets, they must come running back. Well, Rowley, Trinidad and Tobago is not like your cabinet ministers. No way. And all of them must face the wrath of the people through the civil and criminal justice system. I say no more tonight. Tomorrow night is another night, and we will talk elaborately. But let's complete that particular video to show how dangerous this fella is. He's like a child with, of course, a mischievous child with a box of matches and a hand grenade or a stick of dynamite. You're sure to have a loud explosion as a consequence. That is Rowley.
Highest level of dishonesty.
When PM Rowley was in opposition, he said, anytime a government resorts to blaming the opposition for its failure to deliver on their mandate and their responsibilities to the people, it is a clear sign that they have accepted that they have outlived their usefulness.
Because I believe it is doing the right and noble thing. I stand with the UNC because I believe it is doing the right and noble thing. And feel compelled
when PM Rowley was in
speak
opposition, he
out
said,
against the
anytime a
brutal
government
slayings
resorts to blaming the opposition
of
for
so many
its
young
failure
black
to
men
deliver
every
on
day
their mandate and their responsibilities to the people,
citizens feel about
it is a clear sign that they have accepted that they have outlived their usefulness.
But here's what Keith Rowley had to say in Parliament about the same property tax back in 2009. As reported in the Hansard of the Parliament, Keith Rowley said, "In my own constituency, there is anger, anxiety and resentment at both ends of the spectrum. They have brought the tax at the worst possible time, alluding to tough economic times. Rowley also rejected the idea that property tax would help communities. Instead, it would bring further hardship. He said, "I know a lot of people for whom $100 is a lot of money. A lot are struggling to make ends meet," said Rowley. Rowley also chastised the PNM for asking people to pay property tax while his own constituents could not even get water in their taps. Any hike in such water rates under the property tax, Rowley said, would now amount to provocation. If you try to defend and provoke people, and that is what we have at the moment, said Rowley back in 2009. But now, by implementing the property tax, Prime Minister Keith Rowley is defending the indefensible.
Let's not waste time. Let us not waste time, people. That is a fact. And with any stretch of the imagination and with any logical imposition, we can, at minimum, see Rowley as a blasted conman, a criminal, and of course, you know, the night he cannot complete without I calling him a rapist and a blasted pedophile. And you could rest assured that such an individual is so despicable, so reprehensible, so egregiously awful that no one should have any kind of qualms to jettison and to get rid of that lump of protoplasm that ought to have been part of the placenta. Placenta. But is destined for prison. I don't care how old he is. There's no sympathy for what he has done to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. People, we have come to the end. It's already 13 minutes past. I gave you back the little time that I consumed, but I know it has been very interesting. But of course, tomorrow morning, we continue with the ground report. Andy, Mike, and myself, of course, Andy will be with us soon. And of course, don't forget tomorrow night we return with our deficiencies